You know, not every hero needs headlines. Some just do the job, quietly, consistently, and still leave behind a legacy that hits everyone just as hard. Diogo Jota wasn't the loudest player on the pitch. He wasn't always the flashiest either. But man, when he showed up for Liverpool, for Portugal, for his family, for the game. And now he's gone. In the early hours of July 3, 2025, Jota and his younger brother were killed in a car crash in northwestern Spain. He was just 28. At a time when he had it all, a Premier League medal, a UEFA Nations League title, and he had just married his childhood sweetheart. He was driving back to England after being advised not to fly due to a lung surgery. That road trip ended in tragedy. A tire on his Lamborghini SUV blew out while overtaking on the highway near Zamora, just 15 kilometers from the Portugal border. The car veered off the road, caught fire, and by the time emergency services got there, it was already too late. And now Jota leaves behind his wife, Ruth, and their 3 kids. She became a widow just 2 weeks after they were married. It's heartbreaking. But look, this video is not about headlines. It's about remembering why Diogo Jota mattered. We're going to talk about the way he played, the fire he brought on the pitch, the things he did that people don't always notice but should. Because even though he's gone, the impact he had deserves to be talked about. So let's take a moment. Let's celebrate a player who never asked for the spotlight, but earned it every time he... Now here's the thing about Diogo Jota. He wasn't one of those wonder kids that had the football world drooling at 16. He wasn't hyped up by the media. No golden boy spotlight on him. He started out humble, just a skinny kid from Masarolos, Portugal. He joined Paços de Ferreira's youth system. Not exactly the biggest club in the country, but that's where he started turning heads. And it wasn't because he was flashy, it was because he was smart, tenacious, always making the right run, always in the right place at the right time. He had this quiet hunger that you just felt when you watched him play. Eventually, he caught the attention of Atletico Madrid. Big move, right? You'd think that's where he'd blow up, but nope, he didn't even get to play for them. Instead, he was loaned out to Porto and then to Wolves. And it's funny that Wolves' loan, that's where something clicked. He wasn't just surviving anymore, he was thriving. Wolves were building something serious at the time, and Jota became one of the first names on the team sheet. Week after week, he was putting in shifts, goals, assists, pressing like a madman, and doing it all with this quiet confidence. He wasn't trying to be a star, he was just trying to be useful. And guess what? That's exactly what made him unmissable. By the time Liverpool came calling in 2020, it wasn't a gamble, it was a reward. And again, let's be real here. He didn't walk into that squad and get handed anything. He had to compete with Salah, Mane, Firmino, and instead of getting swallowed up, he found his own space, his own rhythm. He made sure Klopp couldn't ignore him. This man earned every step of his rise. Nothing was handed to him, and that's what makes his story so damn powerful. You see, in Klopp's system, especially during those peak years, the front 3 was never just about scoring goals. It was about pressing, linking, creating chaos, and then controlling it. And Jota, he ticked every box. He could play anywhere across that front line. Left wing, right wing, false 9, no complaints, no drama. He just adapted. That flexibility made him a dream for Klopp, especially when injuries started stacking up. But what really set him apart was his movement. Jota's off-ball intelligence was world-class. He didn't just make runs, he made the right runs, slipping into blind spots, darting between defenders, and always seeming to pop up exactly where the ball ended up. He played like he had a radar in his head. And on top of that, his pressing was lethal. He didn't just run at people for show, he pressed with purpose. Watch him closely, and you'll see how often he forces mistakes by cutting off passing lanes or triggering the press at just the right second. You know what's wild? Jota was never really talked about like a pure goal scorer, but when you actually look at the numbers, they tell a completely different story. He averaged a Premier League goal every 141 minutes. That's better than Robbie Fowler, better than Michael Owen. And people barely even mention that. He's just behind the likes of Suarez, Sturridge, Salah, and Torres in terms of goals per minute. But here's where it gets absolutely crazy. Jota's shot conversion rate, he destroys all of them. He scored 38 goals from just 197 shots. That's a 19.3% conversion rate, which basically means every time he got a chance, he made it count. Suarez had a 12.5% rate. Sturridge was at 15.3%. Salah, 17.4%. Torres, 17.9%. Even Mane, who was known for his efficiency, was slightly behind at 18.6%. Only one Liverpool player in the Premier League era has done better than Jota in that stat, and that's Divock Origi. Now, technically, Jota was underrated. He wasn't flashy like Salah or unpredictable like Diaz, but he was sharp. He could combine in tight spaces, work triangles, link up with Firmino, and always find that one-touch pass to break the line. Remember that perfect through ball to Sadio Mane? who squared it across for Salah to make it 4 against Arsenal, and the numbers backed it up too. Jota consistently overperformed his expected goals. He didn't rely on screamers. He scored smart goals, goals that came from reading the play quicker than everyone else. So no, Jota wasn't just part of Klopp's system. He enhanced it, quietly, effectively, and with an edge that made him absolutely essential. For all the talk about stats and tactics, sometimes a player is remembered for the moments. And with Jota, he had a few that fans will never forget. And look, we have to talk about his record against Arsenal, because let's be honest, he absolutely terrorized them. In 12 appearances, he racked up 7 goals and 2 assists. Whether it was that cold-blooded double at the Emirates in the League Cup semi-final, or sitting down Ben White and Ramsdale at Anfield, Jota just came alive against the Gunners. It got to a point where Arsenal fans groaned the second they saw his name on the team sheet. And it wasn't just open play. Jota had a thing for big moments under pressure. In the FA Cup final against Chelsea in 2022, the game had gone to penalties. Sadio Mane had just missed and Liverpool were on the ropes. If they missed again, Chelsea would be 1 kick from the trophy. But up stepped Jota, calm, clinical, no fuss. He buried, gave Liverpool 1 more lifeline, and eventually Kelleher saved Mount's effort, allowing Tsimikas to seal the win. Tsimikas might have grabbed the headlines, but if Jota doesn't keep his nerve, none of that happens. Then there's that chaotic game against Spurs at Anfield. Richarlison scores in the 93rd minute and does his shirt-off bird celebration, thinking he's just stolen a point. But seconds later, Jota pounces on a loose ball and rifles it in. 4-3 Liverpool. Total madness. Klopp even pulled his hamstring celebrating. That's the kind of chaos Jota thrived in, and it's the kind of moment fans will never forget. Or take his winner in the Merseyside derby. That goal didn't just beat Everton, it lifted the roof off Anfield and brought Liverpool 1 step closer to league title number 20. What makes it even more poetic? That turned out to be his final goal in a Liverpool shirt. So here we are talking about Diogo Jota in the past tense, and honestly, that still feels wrong. He wasn't the loudest, he wasn't the most celebrated, but he was the guy who stepped up when it mattered most, who made the hard things look simple, who gave everything without asking for anything back. Jota played football like it meant something, like he knew how lucky he was to wear that shirt. And now, even in his absence, Liverpool fans and football fans in general are left with memories that matter. If you ever needed proof that you don't have to be a superstar to be a legend, Diogo Jota is it. Let me know what your favorite Jota moment was. I'd love to read them. And if this tribute meant something to you, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who loved watching him play. Rest in peace, Diogo. You were one of the good ones.